Pentecost is a Christian holiday which takes place on the 50th day after Easter Sunday. It commemorates the descent of the Holy Spirit upon the apostles and other followers of Jesus Christ while they were in Jerusalem celebrating the Feast of the Weeks as described in the Acts of the Apostles. If we go back and read the Old Testament, we will discover that Pentecost was one of the Jewish feasts. That's the Greek name. The Jews called it the Feast of Harvest or the Feast of Weeks. It is mentioned in 5 places in the first 5 books: Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. According to Bible, when the day of Pentecost arrived, they were all together in one place, and suddenly there came from heaven a sound like a mighty rushing wind, and it filled the entire house where they were sitting, and divided tongues as the fire appeared to them and rested on each one of them, and they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. Now there were dwelling in Jerusalem Jews, devout men from every nation under heaven. And at this sound the multitude came together, and they were bewildered because each one was hearing them speak in his own language, and they were amazed and astonished, saying, "Are not all these who are speaking Galileans? And how is it that we hear each of us in his own native language?" Parthians and Medes, Elamites, and residents of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, and so on. We hear them telling in our own tongues the mighty works of God, and all were amazed and perplexed, saying to one another, "What does this mean?" But others mocking said, "They are filled with new wine." Pentecost was celebration of the beginning of the early weeks of harvest. According to Old Testament, you would go to the day of celebration of first fruits, and beginning with the day, you would count off 50 days. The 50th day would be the day of Pentecost. So, first fruits is the beginning of the barley harvest, and Pentecost is the celebration of the beginning of the wheat harvest. Since it was always 50 days after fruits, and since 50 days equal 7 weeks, it always came a week of weeks later. Therefore, they either called the Feast of Harvest or the Feast of Weeks. But Pentecost was the moment in history after Christ had ascended, and he had promised during the gospel narratives during his earthly ministry that he would leave, but that he would send the Comforter, he would send the Holy Spirit. Pentecost, where the Spirit came and he empowered the early believers, especially the apostles that were left, and Peter, who is almost a comedic personality in the gospel narratives. And here Peter stands up and says, "And let me tell you about the Messiah, who is eternal protector for all humanity. Let me tell you who he is." And so Pentecost becomes this marker in history to really what many people would say, and that's the moment that church is born. That is when thousands come into faith, and it goes from this little sect of believers who followed a Jewish rabbi from Nazareth who died and rose again, and suddenly the church breaks forth into the culture. Suddenly, it is that unstoppable force that no one can really deny any longer. Pentecost has taken on a new significance for us. It at one point is just a historical memory. Now it is a living reality of the moment that the Spirit of God seemingly burst forth. Thank you.